Alex Answer here. It is October 16th in the year 2018. So, as we walk here at a state park that I've never been to, I want to bring up the idea, I've brought it up a few times, that we are inundated with types of fiction and pop culture to numb us out to things that are obviously the truth. For thousands of years, different cultures around the world have speculated about the paranormal and the world of the etheric, the spiritual world. A lot of people like to disrespect the outside-the-box views of others, while the mainstream will capitalize on that natural interest in the paranormal. But they take it to a sick place. There's actually more things that are packaged as fiction than there are accurate documentaries about the possibility of what's really going on. Even when you're dealing with the subject of extraterrestrials, right there, they make it about extraterrestrials. What about earthbound spirits other than human that may have an interest in the human slave colony, mammalian slave colony? Why is it difficult for people to see, as there are rats in their own laboratories? The Pentagon has reportedly done their own tests on rats, as well as other groups, to understand human psychology. And that understanding of the rat brain, hence even the use in our culture of the word rat race, those that understand the consciousness of the rat can control it, especially when that rat is misled and led to different directions. And so, there's a lot of programming. And the question is, do you realize that you're more than human? We hear about the parallels between the pig DNA and human DNA, parallels between the rat brain and the human brain. One of the insults John Travolta in the movie Battleship Earth was saying to the humans, he was calling them a rat brain. You see, today people have the opportunity to access information that can allow them to go above the rat brain. But a lot of people don't want that. I mentioned or asked the question, is it sexy to date in prison? And one example that I want to give that I did in that video is that we can have hormones that are literally attracted like crazy to a fellow prisoner in this reality, in this matrix, in this world. And we could be attracted to them and they could have zero interest in unplugging themselves. But we could be attracted to them anyways, almost as if we're like under a spell. Well, it's the biological blueprint. The biological blueprint has it encoded for human beings to, through an almost alchemical process, and the electricity that we send back and forth through our own thoughts. This includes consciousness. Some people actually, on a deeper level, are drawn to other collectivists, people that are like them, and people that identify values in life in a similar way. So I think that there is a herd element to biology itself, duplication. I'm not against what others do, but I don't think that I am lesser of value because I'm not contributing children to this world. We're not all meant to do that. But see, in the fallen world, there is no need for people to be moral, only to go to war when told to go to war, i.e. have patriotism in their heart, what they believe is patriotism. And what's necessary for a population that's using elements of its own for cannon fodder is for there to be a constant surplus, a population. Those are also considered assets of the state. What's dangerous about something like that is the reality of a society going bankrupt. So I truly believe that if someone was to study the very way in which we've been sold out and speculate as to why they've tried to manipulate with food, with drug, with entertainment, remember this, unless there was truth that the alternative media was putting out, there wouldn't be a need for a modern day COINTELPRO version of that. So there are a lot of counterfeits in this world. But it's important to remember, it's amazing how much privacy I have here today. It's important to remember that we could be tested. You see, some people are stuck in physical pleasure only, and they may have attracted certain things themselves. We talk about the law of attraction, but there may be something missing from it, like the purpose behind why they're doing what they're doing. Some people are lost in thinking that materialism alone brings happiness, and that the only way that we should be applying things like the law of attraction is to material things. Those people that say you can have anything, and I mean anything, if you just focus on it every day, 24/7 for 5 years, as one guy was talking about, and how he manifested basically his coastal home. But the question is that if they really do believe that we can have anything at all, why is it that these people that believe that only work to benefit themselves on a physical level? Why don't they ask for more? So maybe living in worlds like this and the concept of developing compassion is about going beyond the materialism of how we're able to use our mind, our brawn, or our beauty for physical things. There's nothing wrong with gaining things and experiences and enjoyable moments with others. And I'm not a hardcore religious person, but the question is, are we forgetting to really manifest what we're supposed to do here? Time keeps on ticking into the future. And at times I would like to fly like an eagle, or run like a mountain lion, or perhaps to grow beyond human form and be in a different archetype, the archetype of the real superhero. And there could be ways in which we could apply our intentions in our lifetimes here towards doing amazing things, right? So let's say that there is a shift taking place. Why would our own evolution be on the backside? Right? Are we waiting for the world to evolve before we evolve? And I would say that sometimes people may externalize to that degree. I don't think that we should keep waiting on the world. I've done that. And there's going to be certain points in our life to where certain things and concepts make sense, where previously they didn't make any sense. We may have been confused. We may have felt at one point in our life that we don't understand why things happen the way that they do. And we may have to wait till we're literally a particular age to have a particular level of wisdom and understanding to realize why things happen the way that they happen, or are part of something far more carefully coordinated in a universe that's less imperfect than we might think. We may be imperfect to a certain degree, but the world as it functions, right, is functioning like some kind of a system, right? The people that don't seem to understand it are the ones that seem to be the ones in the most pain and in the most suffering. The people that wake up on Earth confused about what we're doing here in the physical body, in this world of elements. And there's a number of things I could say, but we've been really blessed on this planet by nature. And we've seen the fruit of humanity, right? But we're not going to fall into the same trap of blaming all ethnicities, all people from the same country, all people from the same gender. We're above that. I'm above that. Some of you, to most of you, are above that. And right now, we live in a day and age where there's a lot of hypnosis going on. And I would say that there's a lot of powerful intelligence, but not on the light side, but powerful intelligence and powers in other ways that has an interest in humanity's direction, and it's not a good one. Alright, so we've got some people down there. We're going to continue walking back. I actually saw an article, though, recently that said that someone ended up going to the mental hospital after watching too much Netflix, and I haven't got a chance to read the whole thing, right? But here we have another example of how people can end up being affected by some of these negative thought forms that are out there on the internet. People can end up addicted to digital entertainment, and they can find themselves infected with imagery and without a basic level of knowledge to try to educate them, without any understanding of how they could be adversely affected by subliminals. A lot of people right now, their minds are open, but too open to the wrong things. So I think what's missing is a little bit of discernment. I think that when we're dealing with the world of the spiritual, there's a lot of people out there that give a lot of trust. We've talked about this to certain people, and they've looked outside of themselves, and it's like there seems to be consequences when people misuse their creative energy and they don't use it for the highest good. And so there's something more to the human experience for people to understand, even for those that have manifested million-dollar homes, that have manifested wonderful relationships for themselves and vacations. When I look energetically at a lot of even families today, there still is that emptiness. And that emptiness of families today and the disconnect of families today, well, that's always been a subject of pop culture. Where people are sitting down at the dinner table and not really talking about life or their feelings, or for kids growing up in today's day and age, how they're dealing with some of the stressors. And I would say that most parents that are alive today are not preparing their kids to have a mindset that's above being easily played by the system. In fact, it's really a society of children having children. But ultimately, we are souls of various ages in the truest sense, right? So no matter how much propaganda, no matter how much crap they put in the kids' food, I'm not one to talk about one generation narcissistically having the generation of the crystal children. I think that there is some deception there. But is there consciousness that can come through all times and places and people, regardless of their ethnicity, regardless of their religion, regardless of the level of freedom that they have, regardless of the level of control that they have? There are humans that are born with a level of consciousness, in some cases, that can rebuild machines, going from obsolete technologies to future technologies. And we've seen this time and time again, along with other phenomena, where children are born with memories and abilities and identities that are not the identities that they hold in the life that they're holding at that moment. So, like I said, there's a reason why pop culture is rich with this. But we are a society that has allowed itself to be manipulated consciously to where it's guilty about its sexuality, and it'll feel guilty about its awakening, to a point where awakenings and telling the truth oftentimes in this world has to be painted in a fictional light, just like Lord of the Rings and the stories of fairies and other lore, mythology, but also the mysticism from the Eastern world, which in some ways parallels some of these early creation stories, not to mention the Sumerian texts and also information left behind by many, many groups. So there is information for you, but there's no need for you to make it a movie or for you to have to view something as fiction in order for the idea to come across. But there are many ways in which fiction can be used to illustrate something in the mind's eye. I talk about the soul voltage, and some actions can help raise our soul voltage to one that perhaps can evolve beyond this world. This is an ancient teaching. It's something, the term soul voltage, I heard from Maurice Cotterell. When I watched the movie Ghost with the late Patrick Swayze, Ironically, a late Patrick Swayze who plays basically a dead guy. But we see the people, what happens to them when they die. And that would be the people that arranged for him to be killed. The nothingness comes for them. The darkness comes for them. The shadows come for them. The emanations of the archons come for them. And then we could see in another situation, the light. Even though there's debate in spiritual communities whether we should go to the light or not, I'm not convinced that some of the people that are warning you know anything at all about what they're talking about, the way to put it. And a lot of people don't think about putting their best foot forward each and every day, clearing out their space, and things of that nature, seeking to be a better person than we were before. So we want to avoid the autopilot behaviors, right? And I was just reminiscing recently, someone gave me a Bible. Nothing wrong with the Bible. If someone is reading spiritual text for the right reasons, to empower themselves. If someone is reading the Bible, for example, to attach themselves to an ideology that they actually don't have to be good people, they just have to say that they believe in Jesus Christ as the King, and that's it, they're good, their soul is saved. Now that's ass backwards. I mean, just think about different applications of that mentality. How successful would someone actually have to be, or would be, with that thinking? You don't have to be a good builder. Just go down and fill out the permits. You don't actually have to do anything, you know. Just say whatever you want and create your own reality. And I think that there is a block there. There is a block there that prevents people from completely being lost in materialism and distracted from needing to grow. You know, so someone could literally take on a lifetime to where they are creating their own reality each and every day in all kinds of ways. But there could be a destiny for them to do great things with less, and for that to be an example. It's really the product of this culture and the Western mind, and also the East in some ways, for success to be measured by wealth. And when the world of the materialism is all that someone's really looking for, you know, you could say that there's been a drop in consciousness. And right now, overall, humanity is going through some extreme challenges where a lot of the energies are brutal, whether there's a solar flare or not. And despite the fact that there's been a lot of hopes for various ascensions and collective movements forward that would change our world as we know it, there's also an argument to be had that we're recycling back into the dark ages. You know, it could be said that this planet is a planet that is ruled by nefarious forces, even though there is control over that. For me, the ultimate success is evolving beyond the slave colony to begin with, evolving beyond the recurring births within the slave colony. As we walk over here. And I think every culture has it built in, that archonic interference that could result in someone being punished by their family, by the ruling structures. The social media peer pressure, that is the ultimate police state without violence, right? But that is the arena for those people that are still slaves to it. That is still the arena in which people are controlled. And so for me, you know, it's going through different life experiences in different places, trying to move forward in my own life. And I try to not allow myself to get too stuck. For example, we are here today at this beautiful lake, and I'm about to take off in just a minute. But I know the importance of needing to shake up my own energy for my own sleeping space, to get away from home, to get away from the computer, to go literally days on end without looking at the news, as I try to go deeper into the experience of connecting with nature, you know, and the different energies that are out there. And it's important to be able to step away from the human influence. A lot of humans are affected by a lot of things. We're pretty different. And we as humans can be affected by those humans. And some of those humans could be straight up possessed. And so it's really critical for people to understand when it comes to different areas of the earth, there's connecting with the earth and the true nature, the true heartbeat of that area. And then there's being intoxicated by the thoughts, the defecations, the fornications, the manipulations of the men and women, in many cases could be just kids having kids, that are around us. You know, so it's important to tap into the nature of the earth itself and to be able to step back from the collective nature of the thought forms of the human species. Some of that stuff is toxic. Some of that stuff, and we're connected with it. If you're watching this, you're more than likely a human being, although there could be, right, other forms of intelligence that are picking up on these broadcasts. But yeah, this is just some food for thought. And I'm actually in an area where, who knows, the rent might be a little cheaper than in other places, where I think about maybe even, you know, if the financial means were there at some point, if I was able to find something for $300 a month or $400 a month, maybe some extra work, you know, it'd be nice for me to continue doing what I'm doing, speaking about these matters in entirely new towns. So it's important that we challenge ourselves to keep growing, to keep learning, keep reading, keep breathing, keep exercising, keep trying new foods, keep opening up your mind to higher forms of spirituality, as you might start to actually close down your mind to some of those darker things that you've discovered. It's all a matter of what we're open to in this world where there seems to be a buffet of energies and choices.